Welcome to the Windows and Computer channel, and this is about some software that some of you are using and think it's a good idea. And I'll explain why it's not necessarily a good idea to use them. And they are the driver updater softwares. So, we talk about drivers all the time. We often mention that, updated drivers are often good for system stability, especially when you have new versions of Windows. But there's also a bad side to drivers because drivers are also capable of creating blue screens and problems, and we talked about it in the little series of blue screens that I'm talking about. So at first, you might think, well, having the latest drivers of everything is a good thing. And in many cases it is, but in many cases it is not also. And the problem with drivers is that every manufacturer of hardware will at some point mess up on a driver. And that driver will have instabilities and problems. And if you end up using that driver, you might have freezes, blue screens, or all sorts of weird effects in your PC. So some of you are using software that you can download. A lot of them are for free. Some of them have pro versions that you can pay for, and are convinced that it's a great idea to have these check your drivers and update them automatically. My personal opinion on this is that you should stay away from these software for a very simple reason. It is not uncommon for some of these software to sometimes actually install the wrong driver or a driver that's not perfect or not good for your PC. It happens more than we think. So it happens quite regularly, and I have comments from time to time of people saying, you know what, I had this driver updater software, I removed it because I had problems, and it wanted to, force update some drivers that every time it would do it, it would actually have problems. I would have PC problems. The other thing is, I often mention the very simple fact that when it ain't broke, don't fix it. Unless you don't, you have something wrong, unless you don't see that update to maybe the next version of Windows because maybe a driver could be the problem. One of the things that I always say is stay away from drivers if you have no problems. Unless something really pushes you forward towards a new driver, just stay put. Stay at the place you are now. And do not update. Why? Because if your PC runs fine, there's no reason to go ahead with a newer driver. That is something that I've always applied here. I don't update my drivers unless really I feel like it's a good idea. Or if something is weird with a driver, say that I have a Wi-Fi driver that disconnects all the time. Well, maybe updating the driver is not a bad idea because it could be the driver that's the problem. But if everything works fine, and everything works great, drivers should stay put. You should just stay with the versions you have and not force update them. And that's the problem with these software is they force you to upgrade the drivers of everything that has an update. And you end up at some point having problems. It might sound like a good idea. You might say, well, I've been using this for a year and I have no problems. Almost everybody that uses one of those software at some point gets a problem. Either a bad driver, a wrong driver, or something that will just crash your PC. So, I do not recommend using driver update software. I don't think it's a good idea. And you should stay away from these automatic update drivers that sound like a good idea, but often are more a bad idea than a good idea. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up. Thank you for watching.